Coordinator day, though, Phil. Always an interesting day because before we get into it, let me just ask you this. Out of the three coordinators, Joe Lombardi, Vance Joseph, Darren Rizzi, who do you want to hear from? Because my answer is pretty clear, and it's only one guy.
I'm going to go with VJ.
Exactly.
The defensive coordinator. I mean, supposedly we have a defense, and I do believe it, but, supposedly this defense is supposed to be number one this year. So I want to hear from VJ. Also, I have a built-in excuse because that was my coach. So, I have a little soft spot for VJ, but he needs to go out there and do his job. But I want to listen to what VJ has to say about his defense. That is a dominating defense usually.
And I agree with you on almost every day. Thursday, coordinator day, I want to hear from VJ. With all due respect to Joe Lombardi, Sean Payton runs the offense. And with all due respect to Darren Rizzi, I don't really care about special teams unless something went wrong. Well, we both know something went horribly wrong against the Colts, an inexcusable leverage penalty on a 60-yard field goal. Just let him kick it. If he makes it, tip your cap. It wasn't Brandon Aubrey, right? It wasn't Justin Tucker before everything happened with him. It was a journeyman kicker whose career high was 54 yards at Notre Dame. The Broncos were way too aggressive.
So hold on, Will. You don't think they should have brought any type of pressure?
I would have leaped in the air. I would have just told my guys, just jump up, try to block it. But no, you can't put it in the officials' hands there. I mean, Phil, not only was the kick wide right, it was short.
No,
you should be 2-0. You should be 2-0, and you screwed up. And in my eyes, Darren Rizzi screwed up, the new special teams coordinator. So on a day that is about the coordinators, you're not going to hear from Darren Rizzi very much. But we all agreed, and I think the listeners will agree, we want to know, Darren Rizzi, what happened on that leverage penalty?
Yeah, Mike, I know Sean went through a lot of it already, so I'm not going to reiterate all the things that he said. But from a coaching standpoint, the thing that's disappointing to me is the execution part. That's on me. As a coach, any coach, if you go out, we're not lined up correctly, and we didn't execute the call that was called. And so, that's what keeps you up at night as a coach. So as far as the penalty goes, listen, the leveraging call, was it letter of the law, a foul? Yes. Are there many of those throughout the year that don't get called? Yes. So I get it. I guess probably because the play was in an escalated situation. But again, we'll learn from it, move on, and again, like I said, I know Sean's covered a lot of it, so I'm not going to double, reiterate all the things he said.
All right. Well, first of all, you're the special teams coordinator, so you should have to speak on it. I don't like the whole Sean talked about it, so I don't need to talk about it. That's literally one of your only jobs is kicking field goals and protecting field goals, and you screwed it up royally, Darren Rizzi.
But he did say that it's on him. Isn't that what you wanted to hear? Him take like the blunt of like, hey, this loss is on me. And it's about the execution.
Well, he never said the loss was on him. He didn't say anything that extreme.
The loss was on him.
It was.
In the special team.
Look at you coming around.
Well, I'm not coming around. I'm being real. Like, you're watching the game. You have a chance to win the game with Will Lutz. You missed that field goal. All right, so you're already frustrated if you're the coach, if you're the special team coach, Rizzi. You're frustrated. And then you end up with a leverage penalty, which he is right. You can watch the game this next Sunday coming up, and there's going to be 4 or 5 teams that did the exact same thing the Denver Broncos just did, and they're not going to get called for it. So he took accountability. Isn't that what you wanted?
Some accountability, but I took 4 notes during that answer because this is the first time I've heard it. Okay. First time you've heard it. We've been on the air. Rizzi just talked. I mean, this is fresh audio. We didn't get to watch it live. We were doing radio. He said something that got my antenna up. He said we were not lined up correctly. Is that him taking accountability, or is that him throwing the players under the bus?
Well, it's him being honest.
But he said we were not lined up. How does that happen? What do you work on? You guys have been in the building since the middle of July, and you can't line up correctly on a field goal in September? That bothers me as a Broncos fan.
Although people are going to say it's his fault, how is that his fault if he's telling somebody throughout the week, this is how it's ran? This is how you line up. You go through it almost every single day, and yet you get into the game and a player messes up or doesn't line up right. That's on him. And now the player may lose his job because the NFL is not kind to people that continue to make mistakes, especially when you look up and you lose because of it. So for Rizzi, like, yeah, you're gonna fall on that sword because you feel like, hey, as a teacher, I'm not teaching something well enough. So obviously I need to figure out another way to get to this player or players. But for a player, it's about taking accountability of like, hey, I was supposed to be in this gap and I wasn't, and that's my fault. We lost because of it. So I'm not going to put it on Rizzi.
I think he didn't pound it in their head enough if they're not going to line up correctly. I mean, we all think of the Herb Brooks again. Maybe Rizzi should have done that. Maybe he should have said, we're going to do this again. And guess what? He's probably doing that this week. He's probably telling Sean, hey, all the offense and defense can go in the building, but I need another half hour with my guys.
But see, you don't get a half hour. See, that's the issue when it comes to special teams. Special teams unit meetings are literally 15 minutes. So you might go an hour and a half, 2 hours of offense and defensive meetings, but the special team coach may get 15 to 30 minutes. So he's not getting a lot of time. No matter where I've been, the special team coach gets the poop end of the stick.
But how many hours are you guys in the building for on an average workday?
I mean, 7, 8, maybe even more than that. Truly, it's a lot of time. But special.
Well, then we should find more than 30 minutes.
They don't give it to him. No,
but
I
that's
agree
silly.
with you. I
If
agree
you
with
have
Sean
8
should probably
hours-
give a special team coach more time, and maybe he does. But if you're having players mess up, it's because players are not listening in the meetings. Because there's times where I would be in special team meetings, I'm looking around, and you got players that are second on the depth chart. They're on their iPads doing something else, texting on their iPads, and not focusing up on, hey, I need to move one gap over when it comes to the field goal team. But sometimes players don't take that serious because they're playing on different units and they're adding more to their plate with the special teams. But that will also get you fired. So for Rizzi, it's about making sure that these players are listening, because not only is Rizzi's job will be on the line, but another player's job will be on the line as well if this happens again.
Yeah, D'Andrea Tillman was the one who the penalty was
you
called
go.
on.
Yeah.
Awazarike was in the middle of that. They incorrectly said it was him on the field. They changed it after the game. A couple other notes from that answer, Phil. He said by the letter of the law that was the correct call. But like you mentioned, you can watch other games and it's not going to see it called. I do like the fact that both Sean and Rizzi, to give credit here, are not sitting here playing the woe is me, the official screwed us card.
I'm glad you're giving some kind of credit.
Because Broncos country doesn't want to hear that. They want you to know we put it in the officials' hands. And I saw a lot on social media, wow, the refs jobbed us, this and that. I'm glad the coaches aren't pulling that card, because that's not a healthy card for them to pull, especially not at this point of the season.
No, and you also have to understand, like, if you start picking on these refs, you're going to be in a situation where these refs are refereeing your game again. And if you talk bad about them, they're going to remember that. And now they may come up with some ghost penalties throughout the game that ends up turning that game around for the worse for your team. So you have to also understand that this is a long season. You're going to see those refs again. They made the call. It was the right call, and you move on.
You move on, indeed. Speaking of moving on, I'm so excited to be here on a Thursday because Phillip Lindsay, Dante Gomez, Drew Spivak, and myself will move on to trivia next.